Subscribe to my YouTube channel, NBA Players Who Came Out of Dangerous Environments. Narrator. When you grow up in a dangerous environment, survival becomes a skill. You learn which blocks are safe, and which ones you avoid. You pick up on the warning signs, who to trust, who not to trust. And sometimes, the wrong move can change your entire future. For several NBA players, basketball wasn't just a sport. It was their exit plan. A chance to outrun poverty, violence, and the influence of gangs that existed right outside their front door. Today, we examine the stories, rumors, accusations, and realities of life around gangs for several NBA players. From friendly associations and misunderstood gestures, to legal cases that destroyed entire careers. James Harden. Growing up in Lakewood. Before James Harden was an MVP, he was a kid from Lakewood, California, playing ball in a neighborhood where the Bloods were a visible presence. The Bloods, founded in Los Angeles in the early 1960s, gained a reputation for recruiting youth in neighborhoods struggling with poverty. And Lakewood was no exception. For a young Harden, navigating the streets meant understanding where you could walk, which routes to avoid, and how to stay focused on basketball while trouble sat just blocks away. As Harden grew into a rising NBA star, some fans claimed he was throwing gang-style gestures during games, particularly during a matchup with the San Antonio Spurs. Harden ran the floor and flashed hand signs that many viewers interpreted as gang-related. Whether it was coincidence or intentional, the moment sparked debate. Was Harden signaling loyalty, or was it a harmless gesture blown out of proportion? The Bloods have long used outward identifiers, colors, clothing, symbolic tattoos, jewelry, and hand signs. Their most common symbol is the number 5, often shown through 5-point stars or crowns tied to the People's Nation network inside prisons. None of that proved Harden was a gang member, but controversy has never needed proof to spread. His friendship with rappers fueled more rumors, especially when Harden publicly invited Lil Wayne, who has had associations with Blood-affiliated artists, to NBA games. Then another accusation surfaced. Years-old tweets in which Harden jokingly implied he was part of YSL, the crew surrounding rapper Young Thug. Some fans laughed it off, others demanded investigations. Online users tagged police accounts, called for NBA discipline, and spread memes portraying Harden as a gangster. But no evidence ever suggested Harden was part of any gang. What it did show was how quickly social media can turn a joke into a headline. Marquis Daniels. Mystery and speculation. Marquis Daniels was raised in a tough area of Orlando, Florida, where shootings, drug activity, and gang presence were part of the landscape. Daniels never publicly confirmed involvement in gangs. But photos circulated of him holding red bandanas and making hand gestures often associated with the Bloods. Even his writing style sparked suspicion. Some fans noticed Daniels replaced the letter C with K, a quirk commonly seen in anti-Crip language among Blood-affiliated groups. Whether it was habit or coincidence, it fueled tabloid rumors. Basketball became Daniels' escape. His talent earned him a scholarship to Auburn University, and later an NBA opportunity with Dallas, Indiana, Boston, Milwaukee. He built a respected career off defense, hustle, and versatility. Off the court, Daniels became deeply involved in outreach work, speaking to young people, advocating for education, and urging kids not to fall into the same traps many neighbors did. While rumors about his gang ties never fully went away, Daniels flipped his life into a tool for mentorship. DeMar DeRozan. Surviving Compton. Few places symbolize gang tension like Compton, California. For DeMar DeRozan, danger wasn't a statistic. It was home. Family members were killed close to his house. At 5 years old, DeRozan attended his first funeral. His uncle Kevin, reportedly a high-ranking Crip, was murdered by rivals. That became DeRozan's introduction to gang realities. Growing up, DeRozan saw classmates vanish from school, victims of shootings and street retaliation. But he also saw hope. Local figures recognized his talent and protected him, cheering for his success because it represented something bigger, a chance for someone to escape. DeRozan used basketball to cope with trauma. He once tweeted, "In high school I wore blue every day." Some interpreted it as pride in Crip culture. Others saw a young man acknowledging where he came from. When his close friend Davin Giles was killed during a dispute, DeRozan couldn't bring himself to attend the funeral. Years later, he admitted the emotional toll of losing friends before graduating high school. Today, DeRozan stands as proof. Talent, discipline, and focus can break cycles. Javaris Crittenton, the fall of a prospect. Javaris Crittenton had the skill. He had the NBA path. He had everything a young player dreams of. But according to prosecutors, he also stepped deeper into gang life. After starring in Atlanta high school basketball and playing at Georgia Tech, Crittenton became a first-round Lakers pick in 2007. But off the court, authorities later alleged ties to the Mansfield Gangster Crips. That claim returned years later in a courtroom. In 2011, Crittenton was charged in the fatal shooting of a 22-year-old woman during a drive-by incident in Atlanta. Prosecutors said he was the shooter. His cousin faced charges as well. If convicted on all counts, plus alleged gang-related enhancements, Crittenton faced decades behind bars. By 2013, additional indictments for attempted violence and alleged criminal activity emerged. The basketball promise was overshadowed by legal battles. Whether every accusation was true or not, one fact remained. His NBA career was over. Zach Randolph, from survival to redemption. Zach Randolph came from Marion, Indiana, a town that carried racial tension and economic struggle. Before fame, Randolph faced arrests for battery and robbery as a teenager. At 15, he was placed on house arrest. His NBA beginning in Portland collided with the infamous Jailblazers era, players repeatedly making headlines for off-court trouble. Randolph was arrested in 2002 for underage drinking, adding to public concern. But when he moved to Memphis in 2009, everything changed. He became a franchise hero, Z-Bo, the heart of grit and grind basketball. Still, incidents shadowed him. A friend caught with marijuana in Randolph's car. An arrest in 2017 in Los Angeles after police claimed he possessed marijuana with intent to sell. Police said he was standing in Nickerson Gardens, territory associated with the Bounty Hunter Bloods, when a crowd formed and officers intervened. Randolph posted bond, and the situation became another chapter in a complicated public narrative. Yet despite controversy, Randolph rebuilt his image and became a beloved community figure in Memphis. Allen Iverson. Image versus reality. Allen Iverson grew up in Hampton, Virginia, surrounded by crime and limited economic opportunity. Football was his first love, but basketball became his calling. At 17, Iverson was arrested after a bowling alley fight that exploded into a statewide controversy. Media outlets portrayed him as a violent youth despite Iverson maintaining his innocence. Legal battles threatened his future until he eventually enrolled at Georgetown, where he transformed into a future Hall of Famer. Rumors soon spread about Iverson's connection to a group labeled the Goon Squad. Some reports claimed he funded criminal activity, but no evidence ever supported those accusations. Iverson was never convicted of gang activity, and investigators couldn't link him to organized crime. Much of the suspicion came from tattoos, jewelry, attitude, refusing to change his identity for the media. Iverson became proof that style isn't a crime, and that prejudice shapes perception. Stephen Jackson. Loyalty and loss. Stephen Jackson, from Port Arthur, Texas, grew up surrounded by poverty and violence. Basketball was his safe space. Jackson openly wore red bandanas as a young adult, signaling loyalty to blood-associated friends he grew up around. While he said he stayed away from criminal activity, the identity of the streets stayed with him. Jackson suffered heartbreaking loss. His older brother was killed when Jackson was 15. The trauma pushed him harder toward basketball. He bounced through junior college, made the NBA, won a championship, and built a long career. But questions never stopped. In 2018, after rapper and friend PNB Rock was killed, Jackson shocked critics by saying he checks in with street-connected people when visiting certain cities, not to encourage crime, but to show respect and avoid conflict. Some praised him for honesty. Others questioned the implications. To Jackson, it was survival. J.R. Smith. A career of flash and controversy. J.R. Smith entered the league in 2004 and became an electric scorer, but headlines followed him. In 2006, a hard foul during a Nuggets-Knicks game turned into a brawl, earning Smith a suspension. Just months later, Smith and Carmelo Anthony were in a minor car crash that caused them to miss team duties. Then came tragedy. In June 2007, Smith ran a stop sign while driving an SUV, collided with another vehicle, and the crash fatally injured his friend Andre Bell. Smith served jail time, community service, and an NBA suspension. More controversies followed: a fight outside a nightclub, and online behavior that sparked gang rumors when Smith repeatedly replaced C's with K's, a substitution commonly linked with blood symbolism. The attention pushed him off social media altogether. Though Smith never admitted gang involvement, his image made him a target for speculation. Carmelo Anthony. Choosing basketball over the streets. Carmelo Anthony's journey began in Brooklyn, then shifted to West Baltimore, one of America's most challenging urban environments. Crime, drug markets, and gang activity were everywhere. At 14, Carmelo said he fell in with a crew known as the Harlem Boys, who were involved in street crime. For a teenager seeking belonging, the gang acted like a family, something he admitted years later. Basketball wasn't his priority then. He skipped school, hung out on corners, and chased street status. But when friends started dying and violence closed in, Carmelo realized the streets had no long-term future. Basketball became his lifeline and his escape. Paul Pierce. Life after trauma. Paul Pierce grew up in Oakland and Inglewood, two cities long associated with gang conflict. In 2000, while in Boston, Pierce was attacked in a